Adrian, and today I want to talk to you about this, the LG G6. A lot of people, me included, have some gripes with the OnePlus 5, and one of those is the price. The OnePlus 5 costs 500 euros, and that's the same price as this phone, the Galaxy S8, which is a full flagship. So you can't really categorize it as a flagship killer anymore. And thus, OnePlus has kind of left a gap in the sub 500 euro phone market. There's really no flagship killer smartphone anymore at a 400 euro launch price point. But this is where the LG G6 comes in, because you can pick up this phone for below 400 euros right now. For me, the LG G6 really fills in the gap that OnePlus left at the 400 euro price point. I would have picked up a OnePlus 5, but the price and some other questionable decisions that they've made, which I mentioned in a video I did about that up there, just made me not want to consider that phone. And yes, the LG G6 doesn't have the newest specs. It only comes with the Snapdragon 821, 4 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage, compared to 8 GB of RAM, a Snapdragon 835 and up to 128 GB of storage on the OnePlus 5. But phones with the Snapdragon 835, like the Galaxy S8 and also the OnePlus 5, also cost about 30% more than the G6, and they only offer about a 15% performance increase for that price premium. So you really have to decide if that is worth it for you. It's not really worth it for me because I don't play games on my phone, so it was basically a no-brainer decision that I would settle for the lower spec chip in order for some other usability features that I get with the G6 that I wouldn't get with a OnePlus 5, for example. That is because the hardware is really the only thing that sets this phone back from the OnePlus 5. And it really shines in all of the other areas where it's better than that phone. The screen is really amazing on this phone. On the OnePlus 5 you only get a 16:9 normal 1080p screen, but here you get a 2880 by 1440 18:9 screen. And the screen is really beautiful, I have to say that. For an LCD, it has really deep blacks and really saturated colors. Even next to the S8, it doesn't look that bad. I'm also a fan of the rounded corners on the screen. They don't really add anything in terms of usability, but they are a nice touch in terms of the looks of the phone. And screenshots, by the way, don't have rounded corners. That's just something I noticed from using this phone. Another great feature of that display is the ambient display function. Because the brightness can be decreased so much, it doesn't really hurt battery, and it's really nice to see the time and your notifications just by glancing at your phone when it's laying on a desk. And ambient display doesn't really take that much battery either. When you're outside, it regulates the brightness pretty high so you can still see it, but when you're indoors, it reduces it so much that you can't even see that the backlight is on. And the ambient display, for me, also makes up for the lack of a notification LED, because the phone doesn't have one, but at least you can see all of the notifications on the screen all the time, so it's not that big of a deal. So from the specs and the display of the phone, let's move right to the user experience. I'm really not that big of a fan of LG's user interface. I like stock Android a lot more, but with the theming engine in here and a stock Android theme as well as an overlauncher, it's really not that in your face anymore. And I actually like it better than Samsung's interface, because on the S8 you have a lot more trouble tweaking it to make it look more like stock Android, and you have a lot of more in-your-face features, whereas this skin hides a lot of those, and with the stock Android theme, it actually feels pretty close to stock and is really usable. Another thing I really like about this phone is the cameras. The normal shooter takes pretty great photos as it is, but I especially like the wide-angle camera. We humans have a very wide field of view, and I constantly notice that with the smartphone, that field of view is severely limited. But with the wide-angle camera, you can capture much more of what you would actually see in a scene. There's of course a little distortion effect, like with the GoPro, but that trade-off is one I'm willing to take to get all of that action in one shot. I would just really like it if LG would have also included optical image stabilization and autofocus on the wide-angle camera. As it is, it's just not really that great for taking video or shooting in low light as the normal camera. The front camera is also wide-angle, by the way, and that really helps with the face unlocking feature of the phone, because I can basically hold my phone like this and it will recognize my face. That's really cool in my opinion. Another great thing is that you can also use those cameras of the G6 underwater, because it's fully water resistant. And that is also something I really enjoy about this phone, and that I wouldn't get with the OnePlus phone, because it really rains a lot here in Germany, and since the phone is waterproof, I don't have to worry about it breaking when I'm using it out in the rain. But apart from that, there are of course also some smaller usability features, like the very fast fingerprint sensor on the back, Though I would prefer it to be in a different location actually. I have very big hands, and contrary to what most people say, I actually like the fingerprint sensor on the Galaxy S8 a lot better because I can reach it better with my finger. Quick Charge is of course also a nice addition through the USB-C port on the bottom, and Quick Charge 3 is, from my experience, actually pretty comparable to OnePlus's Dash Charge. It's really fast and you're not really going to notice it in day-to-day. And Quick Charge also has the benefit of having a lot of accessories available. I, for example, have a Quick Charge 3 battery bank as well as a multi-port charger next to my bed that all support Quick Charge 3.0 for this phone, whereas with Dash Charge you wouldn't really find those accessories available. So is the LG G6 the phone that you should be picking up at the €400 price tag? Is it the phone that fills in the gap that OnePlus left? In my opinion, the answer is definitely yes. Yes, it doesn't have the newest hardware and it's more comparable to a OnePlus 3T from that standpoint, but it has really great cameras, an amazing screen that you won't get on the OnePlus 5, and also some other usability features like the water resistance. And the software skin, if you're concerned about that, is not that big of a deal. But of course this phone is not perfect. The biggest complaint you could have is that it doesn't have the latest features. If you want those, you'll have to pay an additional €100 at least to get a OnePlus 5 or a Galaxy S8. But this phone offers all of the flagship usability features that you would get with a modern day smartphone, and a really great experience because of that. You're not going to really notice that the processor isn't the latest one. All of the usability features on this phone are great. Heck, if you're in the US, you even get wireless charging. So, the LG G6 gets a high recommendation from me if you're in the market for a flagship experience at a €400 price tag. And because you can get that flagship experience for €400 with this phone, it might as well be the flagship killer that fills in the gap that OnePlus left at that price point. By the way, if you want to learn more about why budget smartphones seem to move up in price and why you can't really get more performance at the same price point anymore, you can check out a video I did about that up there. But with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, press the equating button down under it and get subscribed to the channel for more content like this. I might have some things coming up soon. Also click follow on Twitter and visit the website while you're at it. With that, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'm going to catch you in the next video. Bye!